Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast. I'm your regular host, LeTara, back again. Maybe y'all noticed a pattern. Back again with Dr. Eric
Hello,
Vera.
hello, everybody. It is wedding day.
Here comes the bride.
The
She's
plural.
gonna die.
That was our those were our cackles.
Oh boy. She's
Yeah.
gonna die. They're trying to kill Sheridan, y'all. So
Yep.
it's sick. It's sick the way
Yeah.
that Alistair is like, let's just put it on the television and pop some popcorn and
Oh, I
watch
know.
watch my daughter die.
The way you said it, you sounded like that Miley Cyrus moment at like the VMAs. They try to kill your famous bitch.
I have no I you know what, I usually am so good with pop culture moments and I have no clue what you're talking
It
about.
sounded like you were saying they tried to kill your famous bitch. That there's that vine that's running around of my. It's an old clip, but
An old
yes, they're trying
Vine.
to kill Sheridan Crane
They're trying to kill Sheridan
again.
Crane. So we watched 521 through 525, and we did get our wedding this week. We
Yes,
did.
we're here.
And I was thrilled because I honestly was like, how could they possibly stretch this out? Which they
I
managed
was
to do a lot
prepared.
of stretching. They managed to do more stretching than I feel was necessary, but
Yeah,
we still managed to get to where we need to get to, honey, which was
it
the
was.
wedding.
If I were watching this week, I'd have been satisfied. It would have been enough stalling, but because they were still giving us some things.
Oh, yeah. They
Yeah,
gave us a
but
lot. They really gave us a lot.
this is a juicy week.
To be
We've been.
fair,
I know we've been ripe with material, so I'm very excited.
they really gave us a lot. So before we get into all of that nonsense, let me say a big shout out to all of our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you, Munashe, Marcus, Breland, Lisa, Sid, Randall, Hannah. Which let me just say, Randall is my father, and I was talking to him this morning, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I still pay you $2 a month on your Patreon or whatever the fuck, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. I give you a shout out every fucking week, like."
Aww.
How I know you don't listen to my show, which is fine because I don't think I want him listening. But
Yeah.
but anyway, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Samantha, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, George Lopez, Fitzgerald, Lisa, and Jessica Jean. Yeah, I said that. He said that about the Patreon. I was like, yeah, I give you a shout out. I say Randall every week, and he was like, you need to be saying Daddy, and I was like.
that would sound awesome.
That'd be weird, sir. I'm not gonna be like, Dad, thanks to my dad. Thanks for your $2 every month.
Hey, I promise you, Alistair Crane would never, ever support Sheridan Crane's podcast.
Listen, let me just say too, my mom is no longer a patron.
Yeah.
My mom was a patron and her credit card got declined because she had to get a new one because her card got like compromised or whatever, but then she just forgot to like, and she's always like, "Oh, I need to put my credit card back on your Patreon." And I'm like, "Girl, it's fine. You've done enough for me. Thank you." Thank you. But anyway, that's enough of that. It just made me laugh this morning when he said that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. No, she wanted more Hidden Passions book club stuff. That's why she left.
Listen, we're about to get all kinds of passion stuff. I got to figure it out, but I swear, shit's about to pop off.
Yeah.
All right, shit's about to pop off on this show. Shit has popped off on this show. So we're going to pick it up with Tabitha and Timmy because they are more so outside the storyline than anybody else this week.
Yeah.
Like
Which is my biggest complaint about this. First of all, we're going to get somebody coming back, and I won't spoil that right away, but where we need Tabitha and Timmy watching from the whale, where we need them watching, seeing everything. Now, we know she can't get her ass in that church because she'll burn to a crisp. She's not going to be able to go in there. I get that. But where I wanted commentary from Tabitha the most to watch her watch all this heartache in the church, she's not watching a single damn event. And I was so mad.
You are dead on, right? Spot on. She can watch every other random little thing happening in town. She finds a way. But the
You know what it
one
is?
major event where where she knows Sheridan's
Yes.
gonna die and
Yep.
something bad's gonna happen with Theresa too, that she knows that
Yeah.
Gwen has her little machinations.
Yeah.
So you would think she would, this is like her Super Bowl.
Yeah. It definitely the trifecta, because she also should be watching Grace's heartache as well. Like,
Yes.
there's so much to watch right now, and they aren't doing a damn thing. I was like, come on, Tabitha, this was weird. And I think it was this idea that they needed to break up the major event with something else. They needed their B stories, and they decided to give it to Tabitha and Timmy. And I mean, they are the king and queen of B C stories, but I wanted to hear from them about what was going on in the church. So
Yeah, they this, if ever there was a time for them to be doing commentary,
yeah,
it was here. It was now. This was the Olympics.
yeah,
And we
yes.
and like we don't have our Olympic commentators.
She should have had her John Madden highlighter pen calling all the plays and saying what's happening, and we didn't get it.
We didn't
But
get that.
what we did get is kind of cute, and I'm not mad at it. It's
What
just
we did get is is like, I don't know if I like it or
yeah,
not. So let's talk about it. So
yeah,
Tabitha somehow, I don't know what was going on with Tabitha before this, because the first thing we see this week was her talking to the floating demon head. I was
yeah,
just like, how did we get here? But okay. So
yeah. She's
she's in
not
her
in the
attic.
lair anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, she's in her attic asking the talking demon head about, she said, will today's wedding be a lesson in pain and suffering? And he says, yes, ding dong, the bride is dead.
yeah,
And then he goes on to say the tabloid headline from hell will tear a couple apart, and a livid Ivy Crane will be driven to murder. As a bonus, the stranger stalking Grace will tear her away from her family and destroy her life. So it's like the demon told her everything that was going to happen. You would think that she also would be like, man, I want to see that. I want to watch that. Let me see what's
yeah,
going on. But she decides to have a wedding of her own. She says to Tim, she says, maybe we should have a wedding of our own, Timmy. And he thinks she wants to marry him.
yeah. It was, his little face was so funny. He was like, "What?"
It was so cute though, because once he realized it, he seemed a little disappointed.
Yeah,
Because she said, she brought out this black cake. It was, and she called it a devil's food cake, but it was
yeah,
black. Like it wasn't brown like chocolate, it was black.
yeah,
And they're having a wedding reception for
yeah.
themselves, to celebrate all the pain and suffering happening in Harmony. And Timmy says, so we're not getting married? And she's like, what? Why would I marry you?
Yeah.
No, it was cute. But then
Yeah.
Tabitha, oh my God, Tabitha breaks. She's like excited about all the horrible things that are about to happen, right? She breaks out a kazoo and starts playing taps. Burr, burr,
Oh yeah.
burr, 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 like on her kazoo.
Yeah.
It's like, why does she have a kazoo? Of course she has a kazoo. I feel like
Yeah.
kazoos are one of the most evil things ever made. The sound, children with kazoos, just
Ooh. Oh, you made it
irritating.
even creepier. Yeah.
So irritating, that noise. And anyway,
Yeah.
so Tabitha and Timmy are like celebrating all of the pain and suffering, but the celebrations are cut a little short because her magical future telling wind chimes start moaning.
Yeah. And this time the moan is different. It's not hers.
It's Norma. Timmy's like, I know that voice, that's Norma.
And do we all remember Norma? Yes.
Yeah, well, recap for the people if they don't remember Norma.
All right, picture it. Maybe what, like 4 days ago in Passion's time. This is when we're dealing with Charity's ass in hell. They know that once Charity's gonna be killed, Hecuba's coming for them next. So they decide to take some of their hidden passions money and go over to this hotel to get away from it all. And this is where Tabitha and Timmy meet Norma, who is a take off of Norman Bates of Psycho, except it's a gender swap. We got Norma and her father. And in their events, Timmy basically decapitates this skeleton's head, and Norma has vowed revenge. She tried to find them at one point and never found them. And now here we are, we're picking it back up, and Norma is hell-bent on getting revenge for her father.
Yep, she's coming to Harmony. She starts packing up all her murder weapons, and talking to her dead dad's corpse.
Yeah.
And she's headed to Harmony. She gets on the plane. She puts her dad's skull in a baby Bjorn. She's carrying him around in a baby Bjorn. So
yeah. And this
Passions
was a few
is nuts.
Yeah,
Passions
this was a
is
few months
nuts.
before 9/11. So this was like like in reality. So she's just running again. She ran around that with a hatchet the first time in the airport. So here she is boarding with a skull of her father and her hatchet. So
yeah, this is right before 9/11. So she boarded the plane with all these knives and hatchets and stuff, and nobody said anything. Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it either. I was just like, yeah, sure. So she boards the plane with her dead dad and a baby Bjorn, and it's weird.
Passions I will say I got excited when I saw Norma come back. The actress is a very famous character actress named Marianne Mueller-Lely. I cannot say her last name, but odds are you've seen Norma in many, 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 many things.
Yeah, I've definitely seen her before. Outside of Passions,
and still working, still doing stuff.
Yeah, so she gets to Harmony. She looks up Tabitha and Timmy in the phone book, calls them. Yeah. Well, she actually calls them before she leaves. She calls them because she finds them in her call log or whatever. Calls them, scares. Timmy doesn't know who she is. She just says, "Is this Timmy?" And he's like, "Yeah. Who are you?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it," basically.
Yeah.
And so Timmy gets off the phone with her and he's like, "That was a weird call. It kind of sounded like that lady Norma." And Timmy and Tabitha then like start talking about Norma, and they just are cracking up about how weird this lady was. Remember how weird Norma was? It was so funny.
Yeah. It obviously was fodder for us to remember, to cut to clips and remember who she is. It's also a plot device to make sure that we're able to go, okay, if we were a new viewer, something happened between then and now that they've met this lady before. And they keep showing that clip of Juliet Mills doing her best Janet Leigh impression in the shower of Psycho. Which, again, kudos to Juliet Mills for doing that.
Always.
Yeah.
So
this will be a trip to dismember.
Yep, a trip to dismember. I wrote that in my notes. So Norma goes to Harmony. She finds Tabitha and Timmy's address in the phone book, which I forgot that was a thing you used to be able to do, that everybody just used to put their own, by our own free will, would put our phone number and our addresses in the phone book.
Well, and I also thought, why would Tabitha have her name in the phone book? Of all people, she should not have her stuff on there, but there she was. Norma found her.
They used to send around the little, do you remember they sent around the little questionnaire type thing? Yeah. Do you want to be in the phone book? And you fill it out and send it back or whatever. And
back in the long time ago, you had no choice. They put everybody's business.
Yeah, like if it's a listed number, yeah. And so I imagine, one, maybe Tabitha just it just was on there and she's been there for so long. But the other thing is, I don't see Tabitha filling out the form. Do you?
Yeah. Well, me neither. No, she should be incognito, unless, again, if Andrew Graham Bell's number was 1, Tabitha's probably number 2. Yeah. So I don't know how she's managed to change her number, but I was really like, this is weird. But anyway, or her address, right? Like her address was always there.
Her address was right in the phone book. And so Norma found her, got to the house, and we get a lot of shenanigans. Because at this point, Timmy and Tabitha are talking about Norma as if she'll never find them. She'll never show up. Of course, she's not going to do anything to them. They're far, far away. They're out of harm's way. And so they're laughing and joking about her.
Yeah. And they're saying, at one point, I did get mad at this because they were like, and they're joking about her, how crazy she was, how loony she is. At one point, they were like, Norma was meaner than Hecuba. I'm like, let's not go too far. I know that the woman chased you with shit, but Hecuba was ready to just like torture the two of you, not just kill you, like straight up torture the two of you. And turn Timmy into animals a couple times.
Yeah. Hecuba was one mean piece of work.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way by which Norma goes about things though that's more scary, because she literally wants to hack you to death, right? Mm-hmm. So that's like, ugh, gross.
Yeah.
Scary. That's some scary stuff. But anyway, they're yelling about, Norma, are you here? Ha 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 ha. Norma could never get us. Like, it's ridiculous.
Which I will say, it's very cute. And I was just like, I bet you they had so much fun filming together, those two. Like, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and watch them play together. Joshua and Evans and Juliet Mills, because when they were doing their fake laughs, I know they were acting, but it just made me laugh to hear them laugh. Like, I was just getting a kick out of them having fun, because they don't ever really get to like enjoy themselves.
You don't think so? I think of all the cast members, they probably got to do the most fun stuff.
Oh, they did the most fun stuff, but like for them to be able to be like just
laughing about it.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate. It was like,
leaning into the silliness of it. Yeah,
that's what I was saying, because most of the time they're being tortured or chased, but which it would be fun as an actor to play. This one was just kind of like they're having to goofball, and it was cute. But with that, Norma ends up there at their house.
Mm-hmm. She's inside. She gets inside. She hears them making fun of her, pisses her off.
What a coincidence.
At one point, I think maybe Timmy says something about, old Norma can't get us here. And she's like, old? I'm not old. And then she goes to try to attack Timmy because he comes downstairs to like make martinis, and we get a lot of like the cartoon misses. Like he doesn't notice that she's there, and she keeps swinging at him. Like, what was that cartoon? I think it was one of the Looney Tunes that this happened in, where there's like a monster and like Bugs Bunny is fully and completely unaware that the monster's there. But the monster keeps trying to grab him, but he keeps like giving him the slip without knowing that that's exactly what was going on with Timmy. Like Timmy was like walking around completely oblivious to the fact that Norma's there in the house with her hatchet raised and ready to like slice him up. And she just keeps missing him. The
clips that the clips that I was looking at, they call her, you crazy old broad, Norma isn't sharp enough, you are too psycho nutso. So all of these things really piss her off. And then at one point, Timmy does go down for ice, but he decides to put on some jams. And he shows us his badass dance moves, and his badass dance moves save his life a couple times. Until finally it is known to, he does make it back upstairs, right?
I don't remember. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I was too
there was other things.
The fact that the wedding is happening,
I know,
the David Hastings stuff is happening, the Sheridan stuff is happening. This was so out of place.
Yes,
this should have been in a week where there was nothing going on, because I could not wait to get out of it. Like I was like, get me back to Theresa.
I think that was part of the stalling, right? It's like, how do we stall? Well, we give Tabitha and Timmy our C plot. So now I recognize what it was. So Norma's downstairs with Timmy. Timmy goes to get the ice. He misses her. She decides to destroy the little radio that they were playing. And Timmy has this smell in his nose that he's like, there's something familiar. I don't know what that is. And then he goes upstairs and he tells Tabitha, they were talking about, I don't know, maybe like one of Tabitha's lovers or something. And then she says something like Old Spice. It smells like Old Spice downstairs. And that's what Norma smelled like. And Norma, that was cute. Like Norma smells herself. She's like, oh shit, I did put a little too much on today.
Yeah.
And so that's how they will realize that it's not just a joke. Norma's literally there. And Norma makes herself known. It freaks them out. He grabs Timmy, and Tabitha quickly goes, Norma, how's your father? And she's like, my father? And he lets go of Timmy, and which was smart. It was so fast. And then, of course, they haul ass, and that is pretty much the end of their story.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got all of that, because when I say my notes ended with Norma saying old, I'm not old, and then I said as she attacks them. That's all I wrote.
Yeah, that was the last diss that we get. And Tabitha saved Timmy with that little fake out thing, and they just go running downstairs, and that's the end of them for the whole week.
Thank you. That was a very, very good recap of that, because I would not.
That is probably the shortest magic we've ever, at least you have ever done.
Well, it wasn't much. There wasn't even any magic in it. It's just a witch and her doll, like about to get murdered.
Martinis were flowing. That was true.
There's hardly any magic happening. There was the wind chimes and the floating
that
head.
Stupid head.
Yeah. So now we can move on to what this storyline is. Yeah. All of the storylines this week were making me stressed, because I started to feel like, oh shit, we're about to move into like a portion of this show that I don't like, because nothing's working out for the people that I like. And we're about to move into the turmoil era of everybody, that nobody's happy. Nobody's happy, and nothing's working out right. And so let's start with Sam and Grace and what's going on with these two people. So they start out at the church, where we see Eve and TC for the first time in a long time. Okay.
No Simone.
No Simone. I assume she's still in the hospital. That's my assumption. Because actually, she just got hit by that car. It was like yesterday. Yeah. Like day before, she just got hit by that car. So she was in a coma. She's still in the hospital. Yeah. Sam brings TC up to speed. Grace brings Eve up to speed, separately, about what's going on with the David situation. Yeah. Eve tries to get Grace to just forget about the whole thing. She's like, Grace, just forget about it. Let's just enjoy this wedding, enjoy this day, and don't even think about it.
Which she should have. This is Ethan's wedding day. This is Sam's son's wedding.
That ain't her baby. That ain't her baby. That ain't her baby.
I understand.
She said that's not my baby. These are not my children.
She does do that. I was like, this is so. Anyway, Sam is trying to enjoy the wedding. He does have a quick conversation with Eve. He's like, wow, I have a. It's hard to believe I have a son getting married today. Just a few days ago, I didn't even know I had a son. And so now here I am. And Eve says, this is like one thing that they give Eve, is that she's like, I can't imagine if I had a son and what that would, if I had a son that just walked into my life. And she gives a quick glance to Chad. And that's like the only thing that we get from Eve, really.
Yeah. So, that's another thing that's coming up that I'm not looking forward to. But
they haven't touched on it in a while.
But they're giving us little sprinkles of it. So get ready, y'all. Brace yourselves for this incest storyline. But anyway, so they're all at the church getting ready for the wedding. Meanwhile, I just want to interject what's going on with David. He's at the jail, and he gets to make his one phone call. He calls somebody, and he says, yes, I found her. It's Grace. It's definitely Grace. And if I know Grace, which I do, she can't stop thinking about me. She'll be coming to see me soon. And
that's what he used his one phone call for.
Yeah. And that's why not to get a lawyer. Like, no, that's what he used his one phone call for, to call this person and be like, I was right. Yeah. I was right. And then he says, and when she comes, I'm going to take her far, far away from here. Okay. So, so going back to the church, Ethan has a very nice conversation with Sam
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I'm loving what's happening between the two of these two
Yes, it's really
characters.
nice. Mm-hmm.
It's lovely to see. It's lovely to see Ethan really soften to Sam, and for Sam to see Sam embracing Ethan like as his
Yeah.
son. So anyway, they have a really nice conversation wherein Sam thanks Ethan for letting the girls what are those children's names? Jessica.
Be a yeah. Jessica and Kay.
Jessica and Kay and Charity be in the wedding, because Charity actually
Yes.
was in the wedding too, which I was
Yes,
mad
I wish
about because
I
who invited you here? But it felt like she invited herself, because I saw Ethan talk to Kay, and I saw him talk to Jessica and ask, well, but I didn't see him talk to Charity.
I do in my head, I play this little game where they're probably like, that's the weird one. That's the one that's the that
Because
she
I'm gonna go ahead
tries
and tell y'all what she did in this wedding. She handed out roses randomly
Yeah, I
as she came
guess
down
she
the
was
aisle.
an adult flower girl that gave out roses.
But the flower girl does not hand out roses to people.
Long stem roses.
Yeah.
Long as stems. They were like sticks, huge.
She's such a weird girl. But anyway.
Can you imagine, maybe? So now we're just, because you hate her so much, I'm going to give you this mental picture, is that they were like, you're the flower girl. And she didn't know what that meant. So she went and plucked out these roses and just gave out roses to people.
I'm sure that's exactly.
And I know you wouldn't put it past her.
I'm sure that's exactly how it went. You're the flower girl. Oh, okay. I've never been a flower girl before. I'm so nervous, but I'll be the best flower girl. And then she goes and gets roses and hands them out, and everybody's like, this bitch is so dumb.
I know there are no charity stands, but if you were one, would you be a charity stand-ish?
Stand-ish.
You like that?
I
would tell you to make a shirt, but you wouldn't sell any.
People don't even know what her last name is. I don't dislike I can't even get it out. I don't like this character. She just, at one point, you know what? Since we're on the topic, listen. At one point, all the girls are like in the bridal suite or whatever, and they're getting ready to go out for the wedding. Because this wasn't even in my notes, because I was not even going to talk about it. But she says to Kay and Jessica, "Oh yeah, the next wedding we go to, the next wedding we will all be in will be mine and Miguel's." Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. I can't stand her. Yeah. I cannot stand. I'm sorry. I know I'm being like petty. I know it. I know I'm being petty. It's just the way she says things. It's the way she says things. It's so, I don't know.
Like I told you, my mom never liked Charity. My mom always would be very annoyed by Charity storylines. It didn't impress her. And in Spanish, she would say, ella no tiene chiste. She has nothing about her that makes me want to root for her. She has nothing that gives her any flavor, any passion. And so I could still hear my mom saying that all the time. She'd be so bored with Charity.
Yeah. And speaking of Charity, she's still been having that premonition about Charity, which we will get to.
We get that a lot. Yeah.
So let's go back to what we were talking about. Sorry, I got a little off track because I can't stand her. So David makes his one phone call. We're back at the church with Ethan discussing marriage with Sam. Sam says, first of all, he not apologizes, but he says, thank you for letting the girls be in the wedding. Ethan's like, of course, they're my sisters. I want us to be a family. It was really sweet. And then Ethan asks Sam, he's like, I know this is a weird question, but I just need to know, like, the night that I was conceived, I know it was my mom's wedding night. And Sam stops him and is like, I know what you want to know. You want to know, and I want to put your mind at ease. You were conceived in love. And oh God, I couldn't be mad at it. It was sweet, I guess. It's just such a weird thing to want to know.
Yeah.
About, I don't want to think about the night I was conceived. Are you kidding?
I think a better way of saying it would have been like, my mom always talked about your great love. I just did you reciprocate that? Like, is that true?
Right.
And I think that is where you get your answer of like, no, I totally loved your mother. And like when we, but then it was just like, yeah, when I banged her that night that she married your fake dad, I loved her, and you are a baby of love. Like it just sounds so
Yeah, he
weird.
tells him he was conceived in love. It was bleh.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I get what
um
you're saying. Yeah,
Sam says, I loved your mother, and if she hadn't married your father, if she had married me instead, we would still be married today because I believe in marriage. Marriage is forever, which is why I'll never be with your mom. I will always be with Grace because she's my wife and I love her, and marriage is forever. Grace overhears this conversation, and this conversation is so important. It's so important because it's marriage is forever. Marriage is forever. That's what I believe. Saying Sam says marriage is forever.
yeah,
Well, let's see how you feel about that, Sam. For real, because
yeah.
Grace overhears this conversation and decides, you know what? Sam's absolutely right. I need to go talk to David and get this whole thing straightened out because there's a way. There's a chance he could destroy my marriage. What? 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 That was her
Yeah.
reasoning. That was her reasoning. She's
She
like,
she
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 wants to
took
go see him because she thinks he's there to destroy her marriage.
yeah, she took Sam's comments as a call to action. Like, I need to go do this. This has to happen. I'm also like, I wrote, I rarely do this, but I did write, shut the fuck up. I was so mad. I was like, Grace, sit down. This boy's about to get married. Like,
Gr-
you don't go do this right now. But I
Grace,
know for the, yeah,
sit down.
yeah.
Sit down. You're rocking the boat. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit
But
down. You're
it's like,
rocking the
but like,
boat.
look at the context of all of this. Like, can you imagine? Then you go see Pilar, and Pilar's, you're at the wedding reception, and Pilar's like, "Where the fuck were you?" Like it doesn't make any sense that a person would go do this, choose this moment right now. But we're in a soap opera. We need a B story, and this is our B story for the week. And and this is, if I'll give her this, it's the perfect opportunity, is that Sam is not going to be at the police station during his son's wedding. But yeah, that's what it is. And Grace goes to the police station to go talk to David.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, she needs to sit down. The people
Yeah.
all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. The people all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will pull you under by the short lapel of your checkered coat. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. That used to be my shit. Sorry, I used to love Guys and Dolls.
That's one musical I have not been in.
It's a little Guys and Dolls reference.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to dumbass Grace. So Grace goes to Grace goes to the jail to see David. She gets there. She's like, okay, I'm here. You said you would tell me what's going on. If I talk to you alone, let's talk. He seems to think she can let him out of jail.
Yeah, it's so stupid. And first of all, God bless, David Hastings finally has full sentences to speak now. At least he has sentences, and you're gonna have to get used to his dry delivery of every line. It's a taxing. There we go. That's the word.
You know what's interesting? Actually, seeing, because we will later on in this scene see Sam and David acting together, right? And Sam is so like just loud the entire time.
Yes. Yeah.
He's just like yelling.
It's great to see. Yeah.
Yeah, and David's just like, no, just like very low tone. It's interesting, those two different levels going at each other.
Yeah.
But oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, at one point, Grace is having this. They're trying to figure out, like, who are you? They're gonna play this back and forth for really, like, all week. Is, who are you? How do I know you? How could you possibly know me? But at one point, Grace is like, I do believe, like, you're here, and it's gonna mess with something because I've had premonitions. Now, we in the world of passions and in real life, we know what premonitions are. But David, the way he was like, premonitions, like he delivered it like, the fuck are you, what does that mean? Like, I don't know what that means.
That's him going like, I really need to get her out of this town.
Yeah. Oh, I laughed so hard. It was such a great delivery. It just gets bypassed, but the way he delivered it, I was like, that's really funny. He was like, the hell are you talking about? Like, what are premonitions?
Yes, so they do go back and forth a lot of Grace, you remember me? Grace saying, no, I don't remember you. They just that back and forth and back and forth. He insists, you look deep down, try, Grace, just try to remember. Grace, you remember me. And he says, you knew me before Sam. And he says Sam doesn't know anything about us. He has nothing to do with us. And he says that's why I didn't want to talk in front of him.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's stupid. It makes no sense.
None whatsoever. And she says, I don't know you. And she's ready to leave, right? She's like, you know what? This was a mistake. I don't know you. And she's walking out and he grabs her by the arm through the jail cell.
Yeah.
And when he grabs her, Grace gets a premonition. She gets this flash.
That's so Raven's right there.
Yeah. Duh.
It's the future she can see. It's so mysterious.
Don't play with me because that's my song right there. You know,
if she could gaze into the future.
So he grabs her, and as soon as he grabs her, she gets this That's So Raven style vision, and it's of him pulling her from one side and Sam pulling her from the other. They're both just like yanking on her arms. Yeah, they're doing tug of war as if she's a fucking rope. And then David wins out. He wins Grace of War. The Grace tug of war. He wins, he pulls her in, and she's sobbing. Like, she wants to go with Sam, but this man is pulling her from him. So that freaks her out. She comes back too, and that's when she tells him, like, I had a vision. He's like, what?
Yeah.
And again, more and more back and forth. I don't know you. Who are you? I don't know you.
I wrote that down. That's my purse. I wrote that down.
That's my purse. I don't know you.
Yeah. To quote Bobby Hill of King of the Hill, if y'all don't know that episode in itself is a damn good episode because it's on TikTok and it's memed everywhere. But David finally says the words, I am your husband. And it's that she has a freak out moment, and he even says, in a very passionate delivery, Pandora's box has been opened, Grace. To which she's like, I don't know you. That's my purse.
That's my purse.
I love that you had that down and I wrote that down too. Verbatim.
I don't know you. She does not know him. Yeah. Like, she keeps trying to tell him, sir, I do not know you. Like, I've never seen you before in my life at all. And so she's really upset. Once he says that he's her husband, she starts falling to pieces. And he says to her, I'm telling you the truth, and deep down, you know it. Grace is she's a mess. She falls, she faints. He starts yelling at her because she fell. He's like, Grace, like in concern.
Grace does what she does best besides make tomato soup cakes. She faints.
Those
are her two superpowers.
Grace gonna faint. That's one thing she's going to fall out when she cannot handle some shit. That's how she got into this trouble in the first place. That's probably what happened in Boston when Sam found her. She passed out, and when she woke up, she didn't remember shit.
That's right.
So the cops hear him yelling, which why did they let her in there with him alone anyway?
That's Chief Bennett's wife, and you're just, I mean, I guess you'd be like, oh, I don't want to piss him off, but like, how are you going to let her in there with the guy who abducted her? Like, it's just so dumb. Yeah, I
don't know.
Harmony PD isn't the most
they're terrible. And here's why. They come in and they're like, oh my God, what'd you do to her? And they pick her up and then place her on a cot in the cell next to this man.
Like, he's in arm's reach.
He like is touching her. And my thing is, we know it's not like this happened 400 episodes ago. Like, literally 20 episodes ago, 10 episodes ago, Sam was sleeping in a bedroom at this station. There's a whole ass bedroom in this station that Sam has been living in. Take her there. Why would you lay her on a dirty ass cot in a jail cell
next to the person
next to her attacker? These cops are horrible. I would sue. I would be suing the Harmony PD. I swear I would. So she's laying there. He's trying to get her to come to, and it's at this point that they call Sam, who's at the church, and the service what is it, a service? What is it called? A wedding. The wedding.
Yeah.
The wedding hasn't started yet because y'all Ivy is late. So everybody's just waiting on little
They're
Miss
in the
Ivy.
Sam
And
answers
so
his phone in the middle of the wedding. I wrote, leaves his son's wedding to go check on Grace's stupid ass. That's what I wrote.
I mean, what choice did he have?
Yeah.
What choice to be fair.
Yeah.
To be fair, he's been absent the last 25 years. What's another 30 minutes? What's another 30 minutes?
That's
you know
true,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, he hasn't been here that man's whole life.
That's so sad because then that means Ethan at that point has no parents at his wedding. Like he has no parent. He's got nobody because
got
Fox
nobody.
and Fancy and Purdy aren't there. He has
I know.
Sheridan is there because she's getting married.
And he's not even related to her. And you bring up a good point. Did he not invite his siblings to his wedding?
Yeah.
Or did they just not show up?
Do they not show up? Yeah.
Because where's his family?
His only
actually?
siblings there are Kay and Jessica.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. So anyway, Sam runs off to go deal with Grace because he said he'd been a deadbeat daddy for 25 years. He can do it a few more minutes longer. And so anyway, when he gets there, he brings Grace to, he's like mad at David. Like, what the hell did you do to her?
Yeah, he lunges at him.
We do a lot of, again, I'm going to give y'all the quick of this because we do a lot of the back and forth. I don't know you, Grace. Yes, you do. Remember me, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Finally, Grace says, I have amnesia. And that's when it clicks with David. Oh, no wonder you don't remember me. Which, okay, if you were married to somebody, I don't care how long ago it was. They would remember you. He should have known something was wrong with her. So you mean to tell me this entire time he just thought she just couldn't recognize his face?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't think about it that way. But yeah, you're right. He just was like, why is she ignoring me? Like,
Grace, you remember, dig deep.
What game is she playing?
And so she says, I don't remember anything about the time before I met Sam. And he says, oh, that explains it then, because you and I were married. Oh, well, there's a lot of back and forth. Eventually it all comes out.
He gives some exposition. They were very, very young when they got married. It's boring. It is really boring because we all want to get to the wedding. And so me as a viewer of yesteryear and me as a viewer of today, it was hard to listen to him talk about it. But he does this, like, we were very, very young when we met. We fell in love very quickly. And then I don't even know how he explains how she went missing. Well,
Sam says to him, do you have any proof? Because once he says to Sam, I'm her husband, Sam like is flying off the handle. He's like, that's a lie. He tries to explain to Grace, this man's a con man. She's saying, why would he con? For what? What's the con? Which I also understand. You know what I mean? I understand both sides of this.
We don't even have a house.
Like, what does he want with me?
What does he want? We don't have a house.
I understand both sides of this because Sam says, well, he's just a sicko. He's a stalker. He saw your picture in a magazine and then he came to stalk you. And so I do understand both sides of this. There is
smarts on both sides because, because he's like, you can tell I'm a photographer. Like, it's a simple, like, internet Yahoo search or whatever, Ask Jeeves search at the time. Like, I am David Hastings, the photographer. But Sam, I'm like, it makes no sense because where is the proof, right? Mm-hmm. And then he explains about this. I know. Look at your eyes roll. Yes, I agree. It is really stupid. Don't you remember the name of my boat? I don't know what the name of the boat was. I couldn't. Every time he would mumble it, and so I don't know.
Yeah, he was mumbling it, right? Yeah. And all I heard was like,
he'd be like, "Don't you remember our boat? The book." And
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like the Monjay.
Yeah. So
I was like, I don't.
Huh? Omelette il fromage. I'm like, what did he say? And so whatever the name of the boat was had every piece every piece of evidence. I'm like, you mean to tell me you didn't cast away and have Helen Hunt in a pocket watch somewhere? No, everything is gone. It sank. It's at the bottom of the ocean. He can give you the coordinates of where it went down, but all of the proof is in the bottom of the ocean. And to which Sam is like, how fucking convenient, right? This is really convenient. You have no evidence, which is bullshit. Because if you are married anywhere, there is a copy of that marriage certificate to wherever you got married.
Right.
It has to be there. So it's just a big old mess, but we're trying to make it make sense. So here we are.
Yeah, there's proof to be found.
Yeah,
like, you know, we can find the proof because it is court and public records somewhere. So they can find that pretty easily.
And I mean, I don't know if we made it evident, but yes, he does tell Grace, like, tell him what I told you. Tell him I'm your husband, and that's a big revelation. So Sam has to. That's what Sam's negotiating, like trying to feel like this is bullshit. This is bullshit.
So, yes, David tells this whole story about how the last time he saw Grace, because he's like, there's things are coming to me. All of a sudden, he's like, well, because they're ready to leave. Grace is like ready to give it up. She's like, okay, I'm with you, Sam. And then as they're leaving, he's like, wait, I remember something. Your maiden name is Standish. Why wouldn't you lead with that? What do you mean you just now are remembering that?
Yeah.
Then he says, oh, it was like it was all coming to him all of a sudden. It's like you came across the world to find this lady. You didn't think of all the things you knew about her
already. Yeah.
And so then he's like, and you have a twin sister named Faith. And the last time I saw you, you were on your way to Boston to see her. And that makes them kind of turn around and be like, wait, okay, that really puts something in Grace to be like, how does he clearly knows me. So I don't know. It was just funny. It was just funny because when David said that his boat sank.
Oh yeah.
When David said that his boat sank, when Sam asked for proof that Grace was his wife or that they even knew each other, Sam was like, yeah, likely story, buddy.
Sam was very funny in all of this. Oh yeah, Sam was very funny in all of this. But I was agreeing with him. It was just like, this is all bullshit. Like, this is so dumb. Like, why are we believing him?
Yes. So Grace eventually tells him she doesn't remember him and asks what he wants from her. And he says, I love you, Grace, and I want you back. So we finally got to what it is that he wants. What's this man's objective? He says, I love you, Grace, and I want you back. And he tells her all that stuff about how he knows her maiden name and where the last time he saw her going to visit her sister. And that's enough for Grace to believe that he does, in fact, know her. And that's where we ended with them this week. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it.
Yeah, that's
good. Because I mean, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard to watch, but there was a lot of back and forth, which again, that's what soap operas do. But it wasn't bad. It was at least we know he claims to be her husband, and both of those people now know that that's what he's saying. And so at least we got a revelation, which is a lot for Passions to give us a lot. And
and to be fair to Passions too, they gave us this revelation fairly quickly. David showed up 10 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So they gave us that pretty quickly.
Because we got mysterious man coming for a really, really long time. Then we saw him, and so it's pretty fast.
Yeah. And again, from the time that we saw him for the very first time to now, it's been maybe 20 episodes. Maybe.
It's impressive.
We don't normally get it that fast. So thank you, Passions. Actually, I know this also drags on forever. Like after this happens, and I'm sorry, I want to say something. Because this is a podcast, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing. No, what I want to say is about Grace's whole thing about marriage, because like I said, that conversation between Sam and Ethan was so important because Grace overheard it and she agreed that marriage is forever. And that means if she was married to David before she was married to Sam, her marriage to Sam is not valid, number one. And number two, she is going to stay with David.
Yeah.
She's going to
She should.
honor that marriage. But here's the thing. David, by his own admission, said that they got married very young. He said we were kids when we got married. She shouldn't have to honor that.
No, and again, it's just, it's funny. I brought up Castaway earlier. It's like she just you thought something else happened. It's not her fault that she doesn't have that anymore. So she still has to honor something she can't recall. Like that is,
and also
I wouldn't put that on anybody.
And also, this woman has been with Sam for over 20 years. He says,
yeah.
Over 20
like
years.
Noah's 20 something. I mean, like,
they have 3 children together.
Yeah.
They have a whole life that they have lived together. The last time Grace, the maximum amount of time that Grace spent with David was maybe 3 years. If he says they were kids when they got married, maybe 3, maybe 5 years, maybe. Yeah. But I don't think they were married that long before she disappeared. Yeah. So her marriage to Sam far outweighs that marriage to this David person, and she has a whole ass family with him. Yeah, you're gonna uproot, you're gonna break up your entire, like, you're gonna even think about breaking up your whole fucking family for this man who just showed up out of the blue. I know I'm slightly spoiling things, but I'm already so irritated.
You're making me remember stuff now.
I'm already so irritated with Grace because we all see where this is headed. We all see where this is headed, where she's like, well, marriage is forever, and I have to honor my commitment to this random man that I don't even remember. If he was so important, you would remember him.
When Tabitha said that somebody was coming into her life that would ruin things, this is the person, and it is going to mess with the Bennett family a lot.
Yeah. So
the Bennett family as an entire structure.
Yeah, I remembered this week that this is where the turn comes for Grace.
Yes, and it's funny now that you put that seed in my head. I'm like, okay, because I kept going. It really was after you all did that interview with the actress that I was like, man, it was so cool getting to hear from her. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh, Grace is, but then when you were like, no, I think this is where annoying Grace comes. And I'm like, oh, now it's stuck in my head. And I'm like, maybe this is where I found her insufferable.
This is where the turn comes.
Yeah.
Because you already know what's coming.
Still respect the actress, but now I'm like, they're writing her to be like, to have to adhere to this silly storyline.
Yeah, and to be doing it in such a way that it's like, well, this is like my godly duty. I already see that that's what's coming, right? Like we got married before God, and like I have to honor my commitment, and this marriage isn't actually valid. She sucks. Sorry, she doesn't suck yet. Actually, yes, she does. Because why did she leave the wedding to go over here to talk to this man?
That's actually.
So, okay. Speaking of the wedding, going to the chapel, but we ain't gonna get married. Yeah. Going to the chapel, but we ain't getting married. Whoa. So,
we're here. It's time.
It is time. Ding dong.
Again, just to commemorate, this is a huge monumental moment for the soap opera Passions. Like, I remember the commercials being like, it's the double wedding, here we're coming, it's Passions, blah blah blah, what will happen? Like, I can hear it in my head. There was such a build up to this, huge buildup. I remember I used to look at Soap Opera Digest magazine at this grocery stores, and that was a huge spread in them. The double wedding, the double wedding, the double wedding. This is a huge, huge thing. And again, it's a turning point. Just like Ethan's paternity, this is another turning point where there's no coming back from this, and it's exciting. Here we are.
It's exciting, but it's also so sad. I just wanted them all to get married, and I knew it wasn't going to happen. Like, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but okay. So we start out happy, okay? We start out at this church. The brides arrive to the church. They are stunning. They look beautiful. Beautiful. However, I do want to point out that when they arrive to the church, and this had to be on purpose. When they arrived to the church, the music that's playing is an aria, and I heard it and I was like, is
Was
that
it the
Lascia
na na na
Kilpyonga?
na 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 na
No,
na? No, it wasn't
no,
that one. Okay.
that's Pachelbel's Canon, which is
Okay.
fine, wedding music.
Yeah.
No, this was Lascia Kilpyonga, which is a Handel aria from an opera called Rinaldo, and it goes.
I'm excited. I like
it
singing.
goes Lascia Kilpyonga mia cruda sorte. It goes like that, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't know what I was like, why the fuck would they be playing Lascia Kilpyonga? Because the translation of this song is like, Lascia Kilpyonga means like, let me weep, let me cry. Because the girl, the woman who's singing this has been like abducted and is like never gonna see her love again. And she's trapped and it's like, let me weep. I wrote it down. Yeah, let me weep my cruel fate and I should have freedom. That's what it is. Let me weep my cruel fate and I should have freedom. The duel infringes the fight infringes within these twisted places where she is. There's people fighting, right? They're trying to fight. And she says, in my sufferings, I pray for mercy. What the fuck kind of shit would you play that at a wedding for? Like, why would you play that at a wedding?
First of all, thank you for sharing your opera knowledge with us. Second, now I'm like trying to sit there going, who is best fitting this song?
Oh, it's our brides. It's our brides and our grooms. It was actually like, that's why I said it had to have been on purpose. It had to have been on purpose because if it wasn't and somebody just chose a pretty song, that's a hilarious mistake to make. It's a hilarious mistake to make, but if they did it on purpose, it's so good because it's like this music is beautiful, and if you don't know what it's about, like it actually is about sad pain, suffering, and these lovers who will never be together.
Yeah.
These lovers who will never be together.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I'm sorry. It was just such a good moment that I heard and I was like, oh my God. Okay, Passions.
Hey.
Okay, Passions. Awesome. I love a moment like that. But anyway, the brides arrived. This sad ass song is playing, but it sounds beautiful. They look stunning.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Before we get into what's going on at the church, let's very quickly talk about the fact that Ivy has seen the tabloid. She's locked in her room, cannot get out. She tries multiple ways.
Because earlier Julian had changed the locks on them, or the doorknobs had been changed or something.
Yeah, they fucked with her doorknobs. So when she tried to leave, it came off. And then she was like locked in. There. Yeah, and she can't get out. She's seen the tabloid. She's like, she's going on. She says, that two-faced little traitor, Theresa is going to die. Like she starts violently stabbing the tabloid picture. She's violently stabbing like a picture of Theresa that she had on her desk. And she's trying to get to the church, but she is stuck. Ivy tries for all of these episodes for a long time just to get to the church.
Like the first 3 episodes is her trying to get out, like figuring out how to get out. But again, the staff is all gone. She's stuck there. Like there's no way.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, if you want, I mean, another option is to be able to talk about Alistair, Rebecca, and Julian. I mean, they are in the house with her, which is really frustrating and annoying in itself. But they are watching from the comfort of Julian's library. And Alistair
has set up a feed specifically for Julian and Rebecca to watch, and he's in his office somewhere else eating peanuts, by the way, which is peasant food. I call peanuts peasant food. I don't like them myself, but if you do, that doesn't mean you're a peasant. But I'm just saying it's just a weird thing for Alistair of all people to be eating.
Yeah, but he's also a pig about it. Like, he's just throwing his shit all over the fucking desk. It looks nasty.
Like it's Logan's Steakhouse or whatever.
Yeah, and why is this asshole always playing with a baseball and a baseball glove? I'm like, I know he cannot. It's so...
know that man has zero athleticism whatsoever. He can't throw a ball. He can't hit a ball.
They want to give us more hand acting. I don't know.
Hand acting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, they're watching the whole feed. Alistair keeps saying, Sheridan has to die today. If she doesn't die at this wedding, then you better hope that that gun in your desk better be loaded because you have to kill her one way or another. He keeps saying that. So now we're like escalating to like you're gonna have to shoot Sheridan point blank, period.
Yeah. There's a couple funny things in this throughout this because at one point he does acknowledge that he knows that Gwen tried on the ring at one point and like almost died. And Rebecca's like, "Oh, Alistair, thank you for your concern over Gwen." And he was like, "I'm not concerned about Gwen at all. I didn't care. I was worried that it messed with Sheridan dying today. Then that was my concern." Same thing. Throughout all of this, he's, Rebecca's hoping that Ivy will get to the church. Alistair makes it very clear if Ivy messes with Sheridan's wedding, then he's going to kill Rebecca. He's just like, no matter what, Sheridan needs to die today. That is his function. And he tells both Julian and Rebecca, if it doesn't happen, their hides are next.
Mm-hmm. Your ass is mine. Your bud is mine. That's what he said. So yes, they're all watching the wedding. So let's talk.
Julian's very remorseful. I mean, like you said last week, he's just like, I'm sure his stomach's just turning. It's very evident by Ben Masters' acting is that he's very conflicted.
He's conflicted, but it's like, you did this.
And it's about his own guilt. It's about him still. Yes, he's remorseful about what's going to happen to Sheridan, but it's more about he did it, the promise to his mom, all of that stuff. He could die next. It's all about him.
Yeah, he definitely is still. He feels bad about it, but he also feels that it is in a way necessary. I don't know. Julian is such a believe it or not, Julian's such a complicated character.
Yeah.
He really is such a complicated character. And I feel like that's why I have said on this podcast probably multiple times, I feel for Julian, but I also can't stand him. He's a complex character. Kudos to Passions, honestly, on that.
Yeah, and because you and I know his trajectory, we have sympathy towards him. We know where his storyline will eventually go. I know that you are right. He's complex. That's what I'll say at that. But I do enjoy him, and I think it also has to do with the charm of Ben Masters. It's I like him, and therefore by proxy, I like Julian.
He plays it so well that you kind of can't help but like him, But I think I would venture to say that Julian as a character is the most complicated character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's the most complicated character.
He definitely has a ridiculously changing metamorphosis throughout this entire series.
Yeah, he's definitely the most complicated character. So let's talk about this wedding.
Yes.
The wedding is being held up. Everything's ready to go, but Ivy is nowhere to be seen. Nobody can find Ivy. Everybody's trying to call her, but remember, Julian had her private line in her room disconnected.
Yeah.
And she left her cell phone on the table outside of her room, and now she's locked inside of her room. So people are calling her, but they can't get through to her. And everything's very lovely. The wedding's ready to begin. Sam is acting as Sheridan's father, basically going to walk her down the aisle, which was an interesting little tidbit.
That was interesting choice. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who else would have done it though. So.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too.
I feel like Sam's a fair choice. She could have just walked by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Who walked Theresa down the aisle? Miguel?
Her uncle.
Okay.
Tío.
Okay.
Because Pilar, so I wrote that down. If y'all wanted to know what the wedding lineup looked like, it was random man walks down Pilar. Father Lonigan comes down next. Charity, the oldest flower girl ever. Jessica walks down with Miguel, Ross, and Kay. We do get Reese there. He does say that the brides look gorgeous. He hadn't been here in a while, so.
And it's weird for him to be in the wedding. Why is he in the wedding? Who is he there for?
Good for Kay,
But
his
she's not getting
girlfriend.
married. She's not getting married. Why would he
Well,
be in? Why would he
yeah,
be in Luis's wedding, Sheridan's wedding, um,
yeah,
Ethan's wedding? Ethan doesn't
yeah.
even know the guy, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is funny though because when Reese and Kay are walking down the aisle, the camera does show a beautiful uh, shot of Kay just looking at Reese like, God, why am I with this stupid idiot? Like,
yeah,
it's so funny. Gwen
she
is
hates
walking
him.
down with Hank. Chad walks down with Whitney. Sam walks with Sheridan, and Theresa is with her uncle.
Yeah,
The
everything
ceremony.
made sense except for Reese.
Yeah, the ceremony is if you don't mind me chatting about it. The
Yes,
ceremony is
please
really
talk about the
interesting.
ceremony. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
ceremony.
So first of all, it begins with Father Lonigan saying Chad has selected a song for the mariachi band to play specifically, but I'm like, okay, well, okay, Chad Harris doing his research because I don't know what song that was that the mariachi band played, but they play it. They do a lot of Mexican traditions here, which I was impressed by. Mexican Catholic traditions, and Father Lonigan goes on to explain them. For example, the wedding lasso. Do you know any of these things, or
No,
are you
I
familiar
never
with
heard
this
of them
stuff?
before. I was waiting on you actually to chime in because I said, you know what? If anybody knows if this is real or bullshit, Eric will know.
This is really, and I wish I was impressed, and I was reminding my mom, I was like, oh, they actually depict this stuff, which is cool. So first of all, the wedding lasso, they Father Lonigan explains it. The lasso is there, in theirs is a rope. Sometimes in depending on, again, I'm not speaking for all Latinos. I was like, this is just what I know. Is that oftentimes it is beads. It's really beautiful looking beads, clear beads. You'll oftentimes it's made of two rosaries that are connected together, so you put the loops of the rosaries onto the two people and it binds them together. My mom, so these are called you often have padrinos. Padrinos are like the godparents, or like you are saying, the sponsors of something. My parents, for many times, have been asked to be the padrinos for my cousins and people getting married, because my mom and dad have been married for many years. And so you often ask the people in charge of the lasso, you ask a couple that has been married for many years to kind of bless your union. And so they'll put the one loop on one partner and one loop on the other, and it connects them together. But all of it was described very well by Father Lonigan. Las aras, those are, he explains that there are 13 coins, that is basically trying to talk about yes, prosperity in like your union. What it stems from is this old tradition of like it really means earnest money in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this groom's promise to provide for the family. And then the other tradition that they talk about there is that they have 4 bouquets, because it's a double wedding. There is a bouquet that the bride has, but then there's a set of flowers, or a set of another bouquet that is offered to a memorial, either a statue or a portrait of the Virgin Mary. And at some point during the ceremony, the bride does get up, brings the flowers to the Virgin Mary, and offers that to them. So those were very specific things that I was like, I don't know who did the research on that, but I was very proud of Passions for doing it. They don't go into too much detail, but they give about like 1 or 2 sentences to explain it. And that was another bit of filler, but it was very pretty that they acknowledged it. I was
Oh,
impressed.
the fact that they got any of it right is wonderful.
Yeah,
Frankly. And
I was
so
shocked.
thank you for the explanation. And yeah, they did. It was cool. Like, it was beautiful. The whole ceremony, I wrote it. The
Oh yeah,
wedding is happening. It's lovely. The whole thing
oh
is
yeah,
lovely. I also
very
wrote
pretty.
Gwen is in agony because she's standing up there just mortified and
Well, and
trying to
that
figure
was,
out where is
oh
Ivy?
yeah,
Where is Ivy?
oh, that was so much fun. But I was also thematically like, I'm like, the bridesmaids, they don't have any bridesmaids uniform dresses. Am I wrong in that? Like,
Well, here's the
with
thing. there weren't any bridesmaids. They had two maids of honor, and then the girls were doing like a reading, like the Kay, Jessica, and Charity. They weren't really bridesmaids. They were just, and he just asked them to be part of the wedding, so there never would have been any time for them to get any kind of uniform dress. I will say I would have at least told them what color to wear if it was my wedding.
Yes, because there should have been some uniformity to it, because Gwen is the only one that looks like she's in a bridesmaid's outfit.
Yeah,
that's what I wrote down.
She's in a purple dress.
And then
did you like Whitney's outfit? I feel like Whitney was in a bridesmaid's dress. They both were in bridesmaids dresses.
Whitney's outfit had duality to it. Like, first of all, it looked like, I will not get the word right, but like it looked Asian. It had like when she had the collar up, she had a collar pinned up at one point, and then she like undid it, and it had like a different look. It had like multiple looks.
Really?
Cool. Yeah,
I gotta find it, because I didn't.
If you look at her at the beginning of the week, she has like a collar at the very beginning, and then at the end it changes, but it's the same outfit. It just was like it did something different, and I was kind of like, "Ooh, this is kind of cool." It was different. But her outfit's so different than everybody else's outfit in the wedding.
I think she had on. So here's what I feel like. These are two different weddings happening at the same time. Right? So Theresa chose what she wanted Whitney to wear, and Sheridan chose what she wanted Gwen to wear. I don't see. Oh, wait. Is that Whitney? But anyway, oh, wait, there she is. They're having two different weddings, and I can only see, all I can see is that's what I thought. Her shit was strapless. I didn't see the stuff at the beginning of the week.
Okay, I'll find it, because it was interesting. But anyway, it's such a weird, like, you would think that they made a choice to have a double wedding, but it really looks like you just said perfectly, two weddings happening at the same time. Which you would think a double wedding would have a little bit more like, oh, okay, let's thematically figure out how we're doing all of this.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you say that, because that never even crossed my mind. And which is why a double wedding is so stupid, right? Because in my mind, no, seriously, because in my mind, of course they're having two different weddings. Like, of course that's what a double wedding is, because you have two brides, and they're not going to come to a general consensus about what everything's supposed to be necessarily. I don't know. This was a dumb wedding. Let's go. It was dumb, poorly conceived from the beginning. Like, it literally was all based on a fortune cookie. So let's just steam ahead.
Yes, we got plenty to talk about.
Okay, so the ceremony continues. Ivy finally gets out of her bedroom because Rebecca is watching this wedding and wondering, where the hell is Ivy? Where is Ivy? Where is Ivy? Nobody knows where Ivy is. She's waiting for Ivy to show up at the wedding, and it dawns on her that Ivy is upstairs. You showing me what this girl's wearing? Oh, yeah, what the hell? She took that off.
That was at the top of the week, but it's
a shawl.
Outfit. But,
it's a wrap.
Oh, thank you. But do you see how I was confused? Because I can see how you're confused with like really pretty embroidery on it and stuff. So I was.
It's pretty. It's a wrap.
Oh, it looks badass. Yeah, it looks really cool. But I was like, this has no theme whatsoever. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. She took it off for the actual wedding, because she was like in a strapless.
Yes, it looks really cool. The change looks better. Both outfits look amazing. The change looks really cool as well. That's what I meant.
She just took her little shawl off. But where was I? What was I saying? Something about Ivy. It's okay.
Rebecca. Oh, yes. Let's fight about Rebecca. This dumbass wants Ivy to get over there no matter what. Why wouldn't she go fucking look for Ivy in the mansion? That would have been the first thing that I did.
She thought Ivy was gone. Yeah. She from the way she's talking, she thought Ivy had been gone. She didn't.
And they do hear her yell, so they know she knows. And Rebecca does tell Julian, "Hey, I know what happened. There's a tabloid coming out." So Julian knows, Alistair knows, but I cannot believe that Rebecca would not, like, after all those phone calls, after watching that Ivy's not there,
to go check.
She wouldn't think to just go look for her.
So it finally does dawn on her that Ivy is trapped in her room.
Well, the reason is because Ivy like chucks this log from the fireplace out of the window, and they're like, "What was that noise? Nobody else is here." So I was like, "Oh shit, Ivy's still here."
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So she finally goes upstairs and frees Ivy. She manages to get her out of the room.
I do love the body slam that Rebecca did, because she's
bless her
so
little heart
and little. Like, you aren't gonna do nothing. But
she tried to ram the door down. She obviously could never do that. So she does eventually get her out by like using like a big candlestick to like break the hinge or whatever you call that thing. Whatever, it don't matter. She got her out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Ivy gets out and she just runs. She's like, I'm gonna kill Theresa, blah 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 blah. She runs. Rebecca's like, run, Ivy, run.
Yeah, because she says something like she's gonna kill Theresa, and then Rebecca says, kill her as dead as a 3-day-old taco. Ole. I'm like, come on, man.
But also,
like,
it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense. That's what I wrote down. I was like, that's not a saying.
It doesn't make any sense. How much more dead is a taco on day 1 than it is on day 3? It doesn't make any sense.
And she ends it with an ole.
Girl.
I don't know. That shit makes me laugh. I'm like, look at this shitty writing.
It was so dumb. They go out of their way to be as racist as they can, and it's not even good.
They got it all out of their system in Passions. So,
Ivy gets to driving. She gets stuck in traffic, but eventually she gets past that too, which apparently it's tourist season in Harmony.
Yes.
And so the traffic is terrible. That's what Lord Jesus. That's what Luis says to like somebody in the church when they're asking about Ivy. He's like, oh, I'm sure she just got stuck in traffic. You know, it's tourist season, so the traffic is horrible. Tourist season.
Yeah.
What do y'all have to tour?
The Lobster Shack,
the book cafe,
the youth center.
I guess there's a beach there. I guess.
Yeah. Now there's a new attraction. It's called Hell House Hole in the Ground.
that actually would attract a lot of tourists. Actually, if they decided to market that, they absolutely could.
Yeah,
they absolutely could.
There was once a house here, and now
there's remnants of hell here. Yeah, come one, come all. See the pit from whence hell came. So okay,
we do get the iconic shot of Ivy driving hauling ass in the car, and I remember that in trailer for this week, like they were showing Ivy driving to the church.
She drives to the church, and she's like, "Oh, good, there's the church," and she's like making the turn in, and then they're starting the vows in the church. You're like, okay, let's do the vows, and Father Lonigan's proceeding, and then you hear. And Louis, I think it's Luis who says it first. He's like, somebody's driving a little close.
Yeah.
And then Ivy just crashes into the church from the back. She crashes in her car. She's just sitting there in her car, and she says, well, what did she say? I think she said, at least I didn't have to.
I made it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she said, at least I didn't have to waste time parking.
Yeah.
I think it's what she says.
Yeah. But this is iconic. This is so cool. I sent this to my mom. Like, I showed a clip. I recorded it as I was watching it. My mom goes, I remember all of that. And I'm like, it's been years. It's not like me where I'm like, I'll casually look up a clip every once in a while prior to this podcast. No, my mom, it doesn't have anything to do with this. And she's like, I remember this because it was huge. It was huge. And what a great way to stop the wedding.
Well, stop it. It does. It definitely stops. Everything stops. She crashes into the to the church, everybody's shocked, as well they should be. Ethan realizes it's his mom. He's like, oh my God. And he rushes to go and help her because it seems she's just had an accident. She gets out of the car. She's a little dazed or whatever. But then she says, Ethan, you have to stop this wedding. You have to stop it now. And he says, I don't know if you've noticed, but you kind of already stopped it when you crashed your car. When you drove your car in, it stopped. It is thoroughly stopped, mother.
Our Tia Cristina says, not even our telenovelas get this weird. So again, everybody's kind of, and she's in a daze. At least that's what I have to chalk it up to, because she doesn't go straight and stop it. She's kind of just, I mean, I would be in a daze too. After, I don't think she intended to do that.
No, I don't think I don't think that was her intent to drive into the church like that. So yes, I think, and I don't think Ivy had a plan.
No, she had no plan.
She had no plan. She just knew she needed to get there.
Yeah.
And so finally, she says to Ethan, I will not allow any more damage to be done to my son. And then Ethan hugs her, and then Father Lonigan is like, okay, well, let's go on with the wedding.
Yeah, he's like,
let's go on with the wedding.
Yeah, he goes, we can deal with the car later.
Sir, your church is no longer structurally sound. Everybody needs to get the fuck out of here. And for a police officer, Luis, like, listen, y'all know people cannot still be inside of this building when a car just came through it.
Yeah. No.
Y'all can't still be in here. Everybody has to leave. You have to evacuate.
And just so we all know the kind of person Ivy is, she does say, I will pay for this. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she's like, I'll pay for all the damage, but I couldn't wait one more moment while my son is being damaged and hurt. And then the whispers start around the church. Everybody's kind of whispering to each other, basically saying, Ivy's acting very strange. Strange. That's an understatement. That is the understatement of the year. Ivy's acting strange. She just drove her car into the church and she's like ranting. And so then Charity says, oh, she's so annoying. Charity says, something's wrong. Ivy is furious. Something bad is going to happen. Yeah. Oh, really, Charity? Oh, did your premonition tell you something bad's going to happen? Did you not see the fucking car?
Yeah.
The something bad has happened. It is happening. That's the thing. The something bad is happening. Yeah. What are you something bad's going to happen? It is happening. What are you talking about?
She was like, what's her face from Mean Girls? She grabbed her breasts and went, it's a 30% chance it's already
raining. Yeah. So Ivy is like dazed. She's speechless. She doesn't have anything to say. Ethan and Theresa try to like walk her to her seat, and she's giving Theresa like these wild-eyed looks.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, ugh. But she can't get it out. Like, she can't get the words out, but she's just giving her like this wild look.
Yeah.
And they try to walk her to her seat, and then she says, there's something she needs to tell them. She says to Ethan, there's something I need to tell you. But everybody's just standing around.
Yeah.
We stand around for a while. Theresa has no clue that something is wrong, which she should have had a little bit of a clue, a little bit of an inkling that something was wrong as far as Ivy, and it had something to do with her. She should have figured that out. Especially the way Ivy was looking at her, and the fact that Ivy kept saying, I don't want any more damage to be caused to my son. So she says she has to tell them something. They're all standing around. Theresa has no clue that something is wrong. She's trying to talk to Ivy, and she says, oh, you're gonna love the rest of the ceremony. Like, we're trying to go on as business as usual, which is crazy considering this lady crashed her Mercedes-Benz S-Class into a church, into this cathedral. It's sitting back there. It's probably still, the key is still in the ignition. It's probably still going.
Here's the other thing before we get into the juice, right? I don't know if you heard this, but at some point they make mention that there is a wedding happening after theirs. So they need to get out of the church. Can you imagine going and showing up and there's a car inside where you're about to get married?
That was nuts. Like, because Father Lonigan mentions it a couple of times. It's funny because he's trying to rush them along, right?
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
y'all need to hurry up because I have another wedding to perform. Like, there's more people to marry here today. And yeah, like, no, Father Lonigan, nobody with any good sense is going to get married in this church today. Nobody with good sense would come and show up in my beautiful bridal gown, and I get there and there's a Mercedes Benz in the middle, rubble all over the place. No, we're getting married outside, obviously.
Oh my God.
Obviously.
Yeah. So just so you know, in the world of harmony, somebody else is getting married.
There's somebody else scheduled. There's someone else on the schedule today. There's other people scheduled for their wedding today.
I laughed so hard when I think it's Luis that mentions there's, well, they say it several times, but Luis at one point said it, and I laughed so hard thinking, God bless that little couple that's going to the church and getting excited to get married. There's a car in the first back 8 rows.
Yeah, they ain't getting married today either. So Theresa's trying to talk to Ivy. She's talking to her very sweetly, saying, Mrs. Crane. And then she says, you're going to love the rest of the ceremony, Mrs. Crane. Or I guess I should call you Mother. Child, the look that Ivy gave her. Ivy is fuming.
So good.
Fuming. The look this lady gave her, and then she just rushes up to the altar and she says, I have to protect you, Ethan. I have to protect you. And she says, excuse me, everyone, but before this wedding can go any further, I have an announcement to make. Oh, it was just so sharp and crisp. She's so good, this actress.
And she's got the tabloid clutched in her hands. That's the other thing too. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, wonder if Father Lonigan knows what's about to happen. Like, because he knows all the secrets.
And that's something that pissed me off.
Oh, good. I'm happy I'm
going to tell you why this pissed me off so bad. Is because we just saw the episode where Father Lonigan heard out Gwen's confession. He knows that Gwen is the person who sent that tabloid. And he stands there that entire time listening to this bullshit and never, ever speaks up for Theresa. This man is no man of God.
He's bound by the sanctity of that room that he cannot say anything.
No, this man is no man of God. No, because how do you let that happen? Come on. But anyway, like, we haven't even gotten to it yet. So let's get to it. So she's standing, Ivy's up there.
I wrote down the entire monologue.
I wrote down a lot of it too, because it was amazing.
It's so good.
So she says she has an announcement to make, and then she explains the circumstances of Ethan's paternity reveal. We just get that kind of recapping. So
that's the first half of that monologue. Would you like me to indulge you?
I mean, go off, King.
As you all know, a secret I kept since the day Ethan was born was recently revealed in a horrifying manner. Someone got a hold of my personal letter, and instead of doing the honorable thing and coming to Ethan or to me, this person did the lowest, most reprehensible thing possible. She sent it to a tabloid instead of my painful revelation coming out privately so that Ethan and Julian and Sam and I could talk it through. It was trumpeted to the whole world through a sleazy tabloid headline which destroyed Ethan's life and shattered everyone close to him. The idea of someone doing something so heartless, as you can imagine, was alarming to me. I couldn't believe that anyone would want to hurt Ethan, and certainly no one who ever truly cared about him. But I was wrong, and now I have proof that the person who ruined Ethan's life and took everything from him is the same person who stands here today claiming he loves him, claiming he wants to marry him. And that person is Theresa Lopez Fitzgerald.
Child, it was exploding. Good job. Yay! Standing ovation. That's a doctor of theater right there.
A daytime Emmy nomination for it. She was impeccable.
She was
that is a huge monologue for a soap opera, uninterrupted.
Yeah, at one point she says that Theresa is so devious that she managed to convince all of us that she's just a sweet, innocent girl when nothing could be further from the truth. Girl, she goes all the way in. And so she says, I'm going to expose them the same way they exposed my secret. And yeah, the person who took everything was Theresa Lopez Fitzgerald. Baby, the church is gagged.
The gasps. Like, I mean, it's you can feel the tension in the air. We zoom back to the Crane Mansion. We get a loud yes from Rebecca. Gwen is beaming. I mean, it's like, it is just horrific. And I mean, everybody else who loves Theresa is just horribly upset. This is a huge monumental moment. It was badass.
It's a huge revelation. I want to note, though, that every single person in this church does not believe, with the exception of, well, actually, because Gwen knows that she didn't do this. Nobody in this church, with the exception of Ivy, believes that Theresa did this. Nobody. Everybody's like, why would she do that? Theresa wouldn't do this. And I so wish that we could have just stuck with that train of thought for everybody. Ivy included. I understand that she was like angry and she saw this thing and it ticked her off, but I wish we could have had a moment. If I was Theresa, so actually I'm gonna get to what I would do, but first we're gonna talk about what actually happened. The church is gagged. Everybody's gasping. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, what? No, couldn't be. Not my Theresa. And Theresa vehemently denies this accusation. And then Ivy holds up that tabloid and shows everybody, and she yells, I trusted you. I gave you a job. I supported your relationship with my son. And this is how you repay me? And she says, Ethan, there's no way I'll let you marry this conniving bitch. And then she says, sorry, father. Sorry for my language, father, but there's no other word for her. And then she grabs Ethan, she pulls him away and walks him away from like the altar. Everybody in the sanctuary is kind of trying to grapple with what all of this means, all this information, like everybody. And let's really quickly talk about Luis and Sheridan here, because this is their wedding day.
Oh yeah. And they're just sitting there idly by. I mean, they can't do anything, but they're also just kind of shocked by it all.
Yeah, and Luis doesn't believe it. Sheridan doesn't believe it. Nobody believes it. Yeah. So, Ivy pulls Ethan away, tries to get him to leave the church with her, and he says, I'm not leaving, mother. And then Theresa comes over and tries to plead with Ivy, but Ivy's not having it at all. Like Theresa should have known not to even try to talk to Ivy at this moment, frankly. But Ethan, however, says he believes Theresa. He says she would never do something like this to me, and you yourself know how the tabloids print lies. Like you have said it multiple times. The tabloids, they lie. And I
think that's something for listeners to understand is Ivy specifically notes like, well, they were right about the first thing. Why are they not right about this thing? And so that's her logic. Yes, I think it's always, you've got to consider that she's fueled by rage first, because she's been waiting to find out who this person is. Now she has this. And so she's clinging on to that. Everybody else knows Theresa. And Ivy should know Theresa as well at this point. So I'm agreeing with you. I fault her for that, because it's like, you should know how she is already. You know that she thinks Ethan walks on water, but that's the motivation behind making Ivy the way she is and the way she will be from now on.
There's two things about why Ivy doesn't believe Theresa, and some of it's actually very insidious. One portion of it is she wants to know who it is, right? And so having something delivered to her is better than nothing, right?
Yep.
The other part of it is Ivy is and has always been extremely classist. They do not have, because Theresa comes from where she comes from, Ivy would never give her the benefit of the doubt in this situation. Like it's very easy for her to turn. It was so easy for her to turn on Theresa. Like, so way too easy for her to turn on Theresa. And part of that is, I think, is because she is and always has been very classist.
Yes.
Very classist. And
and
honestly, probably a little bit racist.
Oh,
Actually,
well, I agree.
definitely racist.
Yes,
actually, because I remember some stuff that happened earlier on that I was like, okay, girl.
I agree. And I think that that's why I always found Ivy and Pilar's friendship so intriguing. I've talked about this before on the podcast, but this is at some point, Pilar obviously goes to defend Theresa at some point, but there is an exchange of glances between Ivy and Pilar. And I wish we could have had a little bit more. And I think we will definitely have more conversations about Ivy and Pilar and all of this. But I wanted to see a little bit more because I'm like, that's your best friend's daughter that you're talking shit about. And if anybody, like, she knows adamantly, without a doubt, in her heart, in her soul of soul, that Pilar would never have done it. So why don't you go talk to her and compare some notes? Because you know full well Pilar would never hurt you or ever give up that secret. That is a fact. But she won't do that to check in with her. Like, it's a little frustrating.
What frustrated me too was, if this was my situation, if I was in Theresa's shoes or even Pilar's shoes, I would grab the people who are players in this whole thing. If I was Theresa, I would have a meeting. We would all go back to the bridal suite. It would be me, Pilar, Ivy, Chad, Whitney, Ethan. Those are the 6 people you need to have in a room to sit down and explain what has happened. What does everybody know? And then you can very easily figure out Theresa like didn't do this. There's plausible deniability that she didn't do this
happening here. 1, Theresa didn't do it. 2, she knew about it, and that's going to come into play. And that's the thing that's going to screw us all up. The other, I don't know if we're going to get to this or we're going to talk about it, but Ethan turns to Chad, and somehow it ends up being on Chad's plate again, is that it's all about Chad answering this. And I know that's coming up.
Well, wait. Yes. So let's talk about, because Ethan is all about, I'm going to marry Theresa. I love her. She would never lie to me. To his credit. His credit. You are right. He says, I love her. I love her more than anything, is what he says. Yeah. I'm going to marry her. Like, mother, sit down, take your seat so we can get on with the wedding, basically. Yeah. And
it's impressive of him.
They go back to the altar. They're gonna have this wedding with the car, the structurally unsound church. But Ivy could literally just go get in her car and just start honking the horn. She wants to, you know what I mean? And she really wants to be as disruptive as possible. Just go honk your horn. So they can't do anything. But that's not what she does. So she sits on down. She finally sits down. And they go back to resuming this wedding. Gwen calls Rebecca. She's so upset. Mother, our plan failed. How can he marry her after all of this? Our plan failed and he's still gonna marry her. And she's crying. And I don't feel anything.
Oh, yeah.
Except rage. I felt rage. That's what I felt. I felt rage.
At one point before one of the commercial breaks, it makes it sound like Rebecca has an ace up her sleeve, and then they got rid of that very quickly. And Rebecca just like, well then, bitch, you better figure it out. Like, that's where
she basically tells her, pull yourself together, do whatever you have to, but do not let this wedding go on. It doesn't matter. Just do whatever you have to do. And what this idiot does.
I didn't remember any of this. I didn't remember this either.
Gwen then goes up to the altar, and when Father Lonigan says, which he should have just left this part out. You already know somebody objects.
Now I want Ivy in the car going, beep.
Right.
Now that you put that mental picture in my head. He
says, if there's anyone who knows why this couple should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace. And that's when Gwen runs onto the altar and is like, I know why. And objects. And it's like, oh, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
And so she says, Ethan, I love you too much as a friend to let this wedding continue. Even though you broke my heart once, and I suppose I should rejoice in seeing, she says, I got so much spit in my mouth. I suppose I should rejoice in seeing someone make you unhappy, but I can't let Theresa do this to you. She's a liar and a She's a liar and a backstabber who's been deceiving you all along. She stole you from me by trickery. Like, girl, trickery?
I wrote that down and I was like, oh, LeTara's going to go into her because I know you have evidence that Theresa didn't do anything bad.
Trickery, bitch? Are you serious? You the trickiest bitch out here. Trickery. Oh, I can't stand her. Oh, I don't like Gwen.
Feline, still alive.
I cannot stand her. She's so awful. So awful. Yeah. And she only gets worse. That's the thing. Gwen only gets worse. She never gets better. Yeah. Oh, she's the worst. So
Pilar, that's when Pilar goes and tells Ethan not to listen to her.
Yeah. Well, Theresa protests first. She says, I'm innocent, Gwen. Yeah. And then Pilar jumps up and she says, Ethan, don't listen to Gwen. She's just jealous. And then she says she just wants to ruin your happiness. Ivy then jumps up and she's like, no, Ethan, just at least hear Gwen out. So then Gwen goes on this whole stupid ass monologue talking about how people told her that Theresa was duplicitous. Who? No, names, bitch.
I wrote that down because Theresa goes, what people? I laughed so hard because I'm like, yeah, who has told you this? Who has told
names?
You
the people in your head, the voices?
Yeah.
Is that the people? Because literally everybody in this town loves her. If anything, people don't like you.
Yeah.
She's so horrible and unlikable. So people told me that Theresa was duplicitous and this proves that they were right. And Theresa says, I swear by all that's holy that I didn't do this. Gwen, though, continues like, I don't care what she swears by. She did this. I'm sure. And Ethan, Louise comes in. Louise says, this is Gwen, give it up. This is just your little way of trying to get revenge because you want to be with Ethan. He actually pegs exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
He actually, which everybody should see it. Everybody should see it. Yeah. And listen, here's the thing. I don't fault Gwen for wanting to get her revenge, right?
Yeah.
I get that. I understand. But everybody else should be able to see that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Like, for her to be piping up right now, girl, you're trying to get your lick back, and that's clear. That's obvious. Yeah. But not Gwen. Louise says, you're just trying to get your revenge. Please sit down so that we can carry on with this wedding. And Sheridan even tries to get Gwen to give it up. She's like, Gwen, please, come on. Yeah. And Gwen's like, I'm sorry, Sheridan, but I can't let this go on. And she looks at Ethan and she says, what if I can prove that she lied and she knew you were a Bennett all along? Would you still marry her? And we get like this silence from him for a second, but then he deflects and he says, Theresa wouldn't lie to me. That's what he says. Well, Theresa wouldn't lie to me. And Ivy then says, the tabloids wouldn't print this if it was a lie. They could get sued. She says that Theresa could sue them for defamation. You're a lawyer, Ethan. You should know that. That's what she says to him. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. What I will say to that, like, my rebuttal to that would be, Theresa's a poor housekeeper's daughter.
She has no means to go after a tabloid of that size, even if it's a little rinky-dinky hometown one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she could use Ethan as her lawyer if she decided she wanted to sue, but anyway, nobody's gonna sue anybody.
And this is where the turn takes, is that he looks to Chad and says, but if that's the case, then Chad would have turned something up, and he didn't turn anything up, right, Chad? And then Chad has this really guilty look on his face. And I hate that they put it all on Chad. I think I just think it's kind of bullshit.
It's so shitty that they did this to my man Chad. My main man Chad, that they did this to him. It was such bullshit. But also the fact that Chad even had this in his pocket. I didn't even realize he had this. So, because the last thing I saw was that he had that tabloid and he threw it away. He had put it in the trash.
Yeah, he deeped it deep in the trash can outside the church.
Yeah. So he looks over at Chad and says, yeah, Chad, you broke into the tabloid office to find something you didn't. Did you find any proof? Did you find anything? And Chad looks at Whitney, and Gwen's like, you're your best man's not looking so sure, right?
Yeah.
And he looks at Whitney, he's like, he asked me outright. I have to tell him. And then he walks over and he's like, yeah, actually I did find something. And he pulls out like the letter, like a copy of the letter that was sent to
Looks
the
like a
tabloid.
printed email. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has Theresa's email address at the top of the page. And Gwen is like, see, that's the proof. Ethan is still saying that's not proof. And like, to his credit, this is my guy now.
Where he would be, he's usually on the opposite end of the argument. He is on the, like, wow, he is sticking by Theresa, fully sticking by Theresa.
I'm not generally, y'all know, I'm not generally an Ethan fan, but he really did it for me this week because I love the way he did not turn on Theresa immediately. And that's the way it should be. He shouldn't have turned on her immediately, right? But sometimes they write him in such a way that you're like, do you have no loyalty, sir? Like, do you have no? Yeah. But he doesn't turn on her immediately.
Yeah.
Because he says this doesn't prove anything because Theresa didn't find out I was a Bennett until the engagement party when everybody else did. Right, Theresa? And now, Theresa girl, you in trouble.
Yes.
Theresa girl, you in trouble because if that becomes the stipulation of whether Theresa did this or not, then the waters get very murky.
Yeah.
Right? The waters get very murky. That's why she should have been done told him. She should have told him by now. Like that she knew he was a Bennett. She had plenty of opportunities, plenty of chances.
Yeah.
This is one time where I'm like,
it's not that bad of a secret to have. I was working for your mom. I stumbled on this paperwork. I didn't know what to do. It's not my secret to tell. It was your mom's thing. Like it was something very, very much so. And then, first of all, I'm going to use this word, pendeja, which is like, mama, why did you fucking scan that thing in the first place? She said she did it for Ethan to, I mean, it's just, it was Ivy's thing from the very beginning. She should not have done this, but this is what she did. But you are right. It was something that she could have easily have told him a long, long time ago. And it is like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You didn't want her. It's the same reason Chad and Whitney haven't told him anything. It's the same exact argument, is that they're like, it's not my place. I don't know how to tell you. Like everybody's in that same little bubble.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem I'm having with Theresa, Chad, and Whitney, but mostly with Theresa. Number one, the secret that she's been holding on to is the kind of secret that gets worse the longer you keep it.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like the longer you keep it, the worse it is. Yep. And that you're keeping that secret. Mm-hmm. So she never should have kept it for as long as she kept it. But also, to your point of why did she scan these documents in the first place? And I actually have been thinking about this because I felt similarly, like, why would you even do that? But at the end of the day, we know Theresa, we love Theresa, but we do know there's a little bit of something there under the surface, right? Yes. We do know that she can be a little devious, especially as these later seasons come. And I think Theresa really scanned those documents thinking, when she did it, she was like, I don't know when I'm going to need this, but I might need this. I really think that's what that was.
What they show us at the time, it makes it sound like she's just doing it out of like
love for Ethan. It's bullshit. Yes. No, it is. Yes. I remember when she was doing it and being like, girl, you trying to justify some shit. But it was obvious to me. It was obvious to me that that secret, if she had brought it out in her own way, like in her own time, that she could have very easily used it to her advantage, because that's what she was trying to, before everybody knew that Ethan wasn't a Bennett or that Ethan wasn't a Crane, she was worried about them not accepting her, right? Like she, that they weren't gonna, but she was like, well, if he's not a Crane, then he can marry me.
Yeah.
If he's not a Crane, then he won't marry Gwen, because that was like they were still like engaged.
Yes,
and she was like, if Gwen finds out that he's not a Crane, she's gonna drop him like a hot potato, and I can pick him up once he cools down. And and she, as much as I love Theresa, she did not do that for anything other than selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ended up coming to bite her in the ass.
Yeah,
and it ended up coming to bite her in the ass.
And that's what happens once Chad says he does have that proof. Ivy goes into her again and says, "You are the lowest. You are unspeakable. Sent from the computer I gave you. I denied you nothing. You ruined my son's life." To which Gwen says, "Told you she was a lying bitch." And as a true aunt, Tia Cristina stands up ready to fight and goes, "She cannot talk to my sobrina that way." And her husband has to hold her back. And I was like, oh, she was about to go kick Gwen's ass.
Let me be clear. If this was my wedding, we would have been throwing bows.
Oh, no one, Gwen would not have been allowed to speak.
My family, there's no way. Like, there might not be a wedding today. There absolutely wouldn't have been a wedding if there's a car that drove through the church. But we definitely wouldn't have gotten this far because it would have been an all-out melee.
Yeah.
By this point, because you're not going to disrespect my peoples like this. Teresa and Luis's wedding? No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to disrespect us like this. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Once it all comes out that, or once Ethan turns to her and asks her if she knew he was a Bennett before the tabloid came out, Theresa just runs out of the church. She bolts.
And we get gasps again, gasps all around the church.
She just runs out of the church, and that sucks because, again, it is, for me at this point, instead of running, I would have said, Ivy, Ethan, Mama, Chad, Whitney, can we all go and talk in the bridal suite? Like, let's all get this so we can get this straight now. Gwen, stay your ass right the fuck where you are, because this does not concern you, you fucking bitch, at all. You are not a part of this unless you want to come and confess.
Yeah.
Unless you want to come and confess. Then then you need to stay your butt here. But that's where that's exactly what I would have done. I would have said, we need to have a come to Jesus meeting. Let's go. Like Father Lon, I would have looked to Father Lonigan and been like, Father Lonigan, can you help us out here? Like, he's mediate. So unhelpful. I can't stand him. He's so unhelpful. Like, he's standing there the entire time listening to Gwen, who he knows is the one that sent the thing to the tabloid. He knows that. She told him outright that she was the one that did it. And listening to her accuse Theresa of doing it in his church.
Yeah.
In his church, on consecrated ground, in God's house. The way that he didn't say anything to Gwen about lying on the altar, she's standing on the altar.
Yeah.
You can't even walk up to the altar without crossing yourself. She's standing up there lying. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm heated. That shit. Father Lonigan is so useless.
Again, we have to remind ourselves that a priest cannot divulge anything that they hear in confession. But I feel like what you're saying is there's something else he could have said, like, please, let's take a moment. Like, he knows the truth. So there could have been a way for him to, like, do something to break up this woman who's saying this thing that he knows is not true.
Here's the thing.
He could have figured out something to help.
Yeah, we've seen him do it to Kay. We've seen him say, Kay, don't you have something to say?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Right? That's all he had to say to Gwen. Gwen, don't you have something to say? You don't have anything
Gwen,
to add to this?
Sit your ass back down. Yeah, Gwen, go hold Sheridan's flowers.
Or he could have said, I won't stand for people lying, standing on the altar of God and lying in my church, in my parish. If I were him, I was like, I hear some lies being told that need to be sorted out, but there's someone who knows what's going on and is lying, and it's not Theresa. That's what I would say, and it's not Theresa. Because this is this girl's wedding day. Girl's wedding day. I'm sorry. I just feel like Father Lon, this is unforgivable. It's unforgivable. It's unforgivable, especially considering what we know comes after this. What happens for Theresa after this? And it makes me sad. It makes me so sick to think of, like, what happens to her.
Also, at
as
some
we
point
go
early,
along.
in the early part of the week, a statue came alive and told Gwen to confess her sins.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I completely forgot
Yeah,
about
but
that.
it was like 2 segments, and it was the statue trying to tell Gwen to like
I
not do.
wrote it down. She
Yeah,
said
but it
it
was.
told her that she's gonna bring evil to Harmony. That's what it told her. It told her she was bringing evil to Harmony. Um, yeah. So she is the evil in Harmony.
Yeah,
I'm so.
that.
Yeah, I saw a friar statue comes to life and shames
Yes.
Gwen for bringing evil to Harmony. And then she says to herself, there's nothing evil about her wanting to get Ethan back. Teresa's evil for stealing him from her in the first place. That's what she says.
That's how she justified it.
She's so gross. And I'm sorry. I know it's people out there that love Gwen and they hate Theresa. I don't get that. I don't.
Really?
I don't get it.
No.
Here's why I don't.
No, I didn't know that those people exist. I mean, I like the characters. I'm gonna root for Theresa. I like Gwen because we get friction, we get stuff. So that's why. But I don't sit there and actively hate Theresa and pick Gwen.
There's people who are like Team Gwen, which doesn't make any sense to me. I apologize to whoever is listening who is Team Gwen. No, I remember actually there's one of our friends on the Patreon, we had a conversation about it. She was telling us that she's like Team Gwen. I'm not gonna name names, but you know who you are. But so
we'll give
here's
her a
the thing.
kiss.
I get being Team Gwen early on. Yes. I do. I get it. I do. I get it. I have never been Team Gwen and never will be, but I do understand being Team Gwen early on. Once this happens, and the turn that happens here, it's like worse and worse. Gwen just gets so much worse. And if you hate Theresa after this point, but you're Team Gwen, but you hate Theresa because of all the things that Theresa does after this, she does all of this stuff because of what Gwen did to her.
Yeah, it's all
right. Gwen put all of this into motion. Like anything Theresa does from this point on, even though I don't agree that she should, I don't think either of them should be worried about Ethan this much, especially at a certain point. But, I don't know how you could be Team Gwen. I just don't know how you could be Team Gwen. Because the rage that filled up inside of me when that lady got up on the Lord's altar and started telling those lies. Yeah. Telling those lies. Ruining my wedding that was already ruined. This wedding was horrible. I feel so bad.
But that's so good.
That's the whole week.
The end of it. Yeah.
That's the whole week.
So good. I was writing notes like crazy. I was like, this is all good juice.
It's been great actually. If you want to stay on, we can do a little extra something.
Sure.
Okay, well let me end it and then and we'll do a second one. So with that, everybody, that's the whole episode. Remember, if you want to check out the Patreon, check out the merch or leave me a tip or anything, all of that is linked in the description below. Also, we got like a wave of new listeners like last week or week before last. So awesome. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the new people who are here. Because it like doubled. The listenership like doubled. It's crazy. So it was pretty cool. So I hope that keeps up. But welcome.
It's like we had one wedding and these people are part of the next wedding that are going to come in, and there's a car already jammed into the church.
They're part of our family now. No, actually they've joined our Passions family by way of marriage.
So cool. That is so great. But now I do have this mental picture of, can you imagine those people who are having the wedding next had to have gotten there early, like get there early at some point, and like all that drama still going on.
Right. Like what about the next people who are supposed to be like setting up for the next wedding? Oh my gosh. Go hang it up, go home, clock out. Yeah. All right. So that is everything. Remember, you are my passion for life.